Welcome back to episode 38 of Unlock, Empower, Transform with Shay Blackmon. I'm Shay Blackmon, founder and CEO of Shay Blackmon Consulting, where we specialize in AI-powered culture transformation for Michigan businesses. And today, we're talking about something that's making executives uncomfortable and employees hopeful, the great unbossing. Now, before you panic and think I'm suggesting we eliminate all leadership, take a breath. That's not what this is about. This is about reimagining what leadership looks like when your org chart stops looking like a pyramid scheme and starts looking like, well, something that actually works. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's unpack why some of the world's most innovative companies are flattening their structures and what that means for your high-value culture. Let's start with the elephant in the conference room. Traditional hierarchies are exhausting. They're slow, they're bureaucratic, and honestly, they're kind of insulting to the intelligent, capable people you hired. Think about it. You recruit talented professionals, put them through rigorous interviews, and then tell them they need 17 approvals to order new office supplies. Make it make sense. The great unbossing isn't about chaos. It's about intentional design. It's about asking, what if we structured our organizations around outcomes instead of titles, around collaboration instead of control, around trust instead of, well, whatever it is that makes us require 3 signatures for a $47 purchase? Here's what I've observed after 24 years in HR leadership across manufacturing and automotive sectors. The companies that are thriving aren't the ones with the most layers. They're the ones that empowered their people to actually lead, regardless of what their business card says. So what does a flat organization actually look like? And more importantly, how does it connect to high-value culture? First, let's clarify. Flat doesn't mean leaderless. It means fewer hierarchical layers between decision makers and doers. It means your product designer can talk directly to your CEO without needing to schedule a meeting with 4 other people first. Revolutionary, I know. In my book, High Value Leadership, Transforming Organizations Through Purposeful Culture, I talk about the 4 pillars of high-value culture: purpose, people, performance, and profit. Flat organizations excel at these because they remove the barriers that typically block cultural transformation. Purpose becomes clearer when everyone has visibility into strategic decisions. People feel valued when their input doesn't get lost in a game of telephone through 6 management levels. Performance improves because decisions happen faster. And profit? Well, when you're not paying for redundant management layers and people can actually execute on good ideas, profit tends to follow. There was a tech company that flattened from 7 management layers to 3. Know what happened? Decision-making time dropped by 60%. Employee engagement shot up, turnover decreased. They didn't eliminate leadership, they distributed it. Now let's talk about new leadership models, because this is where it gets interesting. We're seeing the rise of servant leadership, distributed leadership, and what I call leadership at every level. These aren't just buzzwords. They're fundamental shifts in how we think about authority and influence. Servant leadership flips the script. Instead of, how can my team serve my vision, it asks, how can I serve my team's success? It's less corner office, more round table. And before you roll your eyes, research shows servant leaders consistently outperform command and control leaders on engagement, retention, and innovation metrics. Distributed leadership takes it further. It says leadership isn't a position, it's a practice. Your software engineer might lead the technical direction. Your customer service rep might lead the user experience improvements. Your facilities manager might lead the sustainability initiative. Leadership flows to wherever the expertise and passion live. I've watched this play out in manufacturing environments where the best safety innovations came from the line workers, not the management team. Because guess what? The people doing the work often have the best ideas for improving it. Shocking, right? But here's the catch, and this is important. Flat organizations fail spectacularly when they're not built on strong cultural foundations. You can't just remove layers of management and hope for the best. That's not unbossing, that's just chaos with a trendy name. You need clarity around decision rights, you need transparent communication systems, you need shared values that actually guide behavior, not just pretty words on a conference room wall. This is where high value culture becomes non negotiable. When everyone understands the purpose, knows how decisions align with values, and trusts their colleagues to act with integrity, you don't need 17 approval layers. The culture does the work. At CBC, our organizational design services help companies make this transition intentionally. We don't just flatten for the sake of being trendy. We redesign structures around your strategic priorities, your cultural values, and your actual business needs. We use AI-enhanced diagnostic tools to identify where your current structure is creating bottlenecks, where leadership gaps exist, and where you have untapped leadership capacity. Then we build a customized roadmap that respects where you are while moving you toward where you need to be. Let me give you a practical example. There was a healthcare organization that came to us frustrated with slow decision making. They had a traditional structure, decisions flowed up, directives flowed down, and innovation was basically stuck in traffic. We didn't immediately flatten everything. Instead, we identified 3 pilot areas where distributed leadership could work. We established clear decision frameworks. We trained team members on leadership skills they'd need. We created feedback loops. We measured outcomes. 6 months later, those 3 areas were outperforming the rest of the organization on every key metric: patient satisfaction, employee engagement, operational efficiency, all of it. That success became the blueprint for their broader transformation. They didn't abandon all structure. They created smarter structure. Structure that served their purpose instead of just existing, because that's how we've always done it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, Shay, but my industry is different. We're regulated, we're traditional. We can't just flatten everything. Fair point, and you're right. You probably can't eliminate all hierarchy overnight, but you can start distributing leadership and decision-making authority where it makes sense. Can your project teams make resource allocation decisions under a certain threshold? Can your customer-facing teams resolve issues without 3 levels of approval? Can your subject matter experts lead initiatives without being managers? The answer to most of these questions is probably yes. You just need the courage to redesign the system. Let's make this practical. I'm going to give you a quick exercise you can do with your leadership team. And yes, this works whether you're a C-suite executive or a team lead. It's called the Decision Audit, and it's going to reveal exactly where your organizational structure is helping and where it's hurting. Here's what you do. For 1 week, track every decision that requires your approval. Every single one. Next to each decision, note, could someone else have made this decision with the right framework and authority? What value did requiring my approval add? What did it cost in time, energy, and momentum? Be honest. If you're approving vacation requests, supply orders, or routine operational decisions, you're not leading, you're bottlenecking. At the end of the week, identify the top 5 decisions that only you should make because of strategic importance, risk level, or unique expertise. Everything else, that's your delegation opportunity list. Now take it a step further. For each item on that delegation list, ask, what does this person need? Clarity, training, decision framework, resources to own this decision going forward. That's your unbossing roadmap. You're not eliminating leadership. You're elevating it by letting people lead in their areas of strength. This exercise alone can transform how your team operates. I've seen leaders free up 10 to 15 hours per week by doing this audit and actually following through on delegation. That's time redirected to strategic thinking, relationship building, and the leadership work that actually matters. And here's the truth. When you trust your people with decisions, they rise to the occasion. Not always perfectly, not always immediately, but consistently over time, they grow into the leadership capacity you've given them. That's how you build a high-value culture. Not by hoarding authority, but by distributing it intentionally. If you're ready to dive deeper into these concepts, my book, High Value Leadership: Transforming Organizations Through Purposeful Culture, walks you through the entire framework. We cover purpose alignment, people development, performance management, and yes, how to structure organizations that actually unleash human potential instead of containing it. And speaking of unleashing potential, I'm thrilled to announce that my High Value Leadership Intensive course is launching soon. This isn't just theory, it's a comprehensive program where we'll work together to transform your leadership approach and organizational culture. If today's episode resonated with you, this intensive will give you the tools, frameworks, and community to make it real in your organization. Keep your eyes on my newsletter, the Blackmon Brief, and my social channels for the launch date. This is going to be good. Before we wrap, I want to offer you a resource that pairs perfectly with today's topic. The Shield Resilience Strategy Guide helps you and your team build the adaptive capacity necessary for any organizational change, including structural transformation. Because here's the thing, unbossing your organization requires resilience from everyone. Leaders need resilience to let go of control. Team members need resilience to step into new responsibilities. The organization needs resilience to navigate the transition without losing momentum. The Shield Guide walks you through practical strategies for building that resilience, including how to manage change fatigue and maintain clarity during transitions. You can download it for free at my website. Link is in the show notes. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Have you worked in a flat organization? Are you considering flattening your structure? What's holding you back? Drop a comment below or send me a message. Let's keep this conversation going. Remember, on Thursday, we're diving into measuring what matters, culture metrics that drive results. Because you can't transform what you don't measure, and most companies are measuring the wrong things. You won't want to miss it. Here's your challenge for this week. Do that decision audit. Track every decision. Be ruthless about identifying what only you can do versus what you're doing because the system hasn't caught up to what's possible. And then, and this is the scary part, start delegating, start distributing leadership, start trusting your people to rise to the occasion. The great unbossing isn't about eliminating leadership. It's about multiplying it. It's about creating organizations where leadership happens at every level, where structure serves purpose, and where your people can actually do the brilliant work you hired them to do. That's how you build a high-value culture. That's how you transform organizations, and that's exactly what we're here to unlock, empower, and transform together. Thanks for tuning in to episode 38. I'm Shay Blackmon, and I'll see you Thursday for our next conversation. Until then, lead well, lead boldly, and remember, the best organizational chart might be the one you're brave enough to redesign.